Hey guys, it's Erica from Brains to Beauty, and today I'm going to be doing a comparison of my Covergirl Whipped Cream Foundation with my Revlon Colorstay Whipped. As you guys know, I absolutely love this foundation, and the biggest, most highly requested thing out of my CVS haul was a comparison of how these two racked and stacked up together. And I figured the easiest way to do this is actually put them side by side and actually see how they perform next to each other. Of course, as with most drugstore foundations, it's really hard to find good matches. Plus, this one's a little too dark for me anyway, while this one is definitely closer to my skin tone. So I will definitely have two different colors on my face, but I'm okay with that because really I'm looking for performance and not necessarily color. Since I've never actually done a Revlon Colorstay Whipped Foundation review, I'm going to do this side first. I'm going to apply it to the right side of my face and show you how this one performs. Of course, I do not have anything on my face other than moisturizer. And I apologize, the dogs are making quite a bit of noise right now. So I've changed the exposure on my camera so that you guys can get a better look, but this is the side with the Revlon Colorstay and this is the side with no foundation. As you guys can see, I do have some dark spots and freckling under my cheek, and I definitely have redness around my nose. The Revlon Colorstay has completely covered up the redness. Other than moisturizer, I did not use a primer or a concealer. So this is just the foundation. So it definitely has medium coverage. It's definitely covered up the redness. I do actually have pimples on this side of my face, and it's covered up all of the redness from there. The dark spots and freckling are not as noticeable as they were before, but they are still visible, so it doesn't look like your super cake face. Like, you can still see the natural colors of the skin underneath the foundation while still covering up the blemishes that I have. So this is why I really love the Revlon Colorstay. It is a cream foundation, so you definitely feel that creamy texture, but I will say it does not feel heavy, which is what I love so much about it. So you still can put it on, you get a very moisturizing and creamy texture without all of the heaviness. Okay, so I've got a makeup wipe and I've cleaned off my fingers, and now I'm going to do the Covergirl side of my face and then compare it to the Revlon side. So this is the Revlon side, and as you can see, this color is a little bit dark for me. It does not match me as well as it used to because I am definitely losing my tan, but this side compared to this side has a little bit more coverage. I did put on one layer for each color. So with the Revlon Colorstay, it is definitely medium right off the bat. The Covergirl, however, I can still see some of the redness under my nose. I can't see any redness on this side, but I can definitely see redness on this side. And I can definitely see my freckles on the Covergirl side a little bit more predominantly than the Revlon side. I don't know if it's picking up on camera, but I can definitely tell the difference in person. The Covergirl isn't really like sheer or light, but it's definitely not a full medium coverage like what I consider medium coverage. And so I really think it's a lighter foundation. Another thing is the texture of the Covergirl Whipped Cream Foundation is definitely more whipped than the Revlon. So now that that is done, I'm going to go ahead and put in a second layer of the Covergirl and see if it matches the Revlon side and gives a little bit more coverage. Okay, so I've applied a second layer of the CoverGirl on this side of my face, and of course this is the one layer of the Revlon, and honestly they look the same in coverage and in color, which is pretty surprising because the shades are not the same. But looking in person, you cannot tell that I'm wearing two different foundations, let alone brand or shades, which is absolutely amazing to me. They're both mattifying and they are both medium coverage. So I am extremely, extremely impressed with the CoverGirl. I'm going to go ahead and finish off the rest of my makeup and we'll talk in a bit. Okay guys, so I've finished my makeup. I did not set it with a powder. I typically like to set my foundation with a powder because I'm super shiny face. Right now it's very matte and it doesn't look like it because the exposure is crazy, but now as you guys can see with the exposure turned down, it is very matte. There is almost like no shininess right now, which is what I love about these foundations. But you know, that can change throughout the day. I can't do a full day check-in, check-out because it's already 7:39 p.m. It is a late day for me. I've been doing a lot of stuff around the house this morning and we did move some furniture, so I just now got to do my makeup. I am going to go out, get some dinner, I'm going to go meet some friends, and then I'm going to do some more filming and stuff around the house. So I will be up for at least another 4 more hours, so at least I'll be able to show you guys how this lasts for 4 hours, which is typically around the time where my face starts getting really oily and I need to start blotting anyway. So this will actually be a really good test to see how these two foundations work with each other. So it has been a little over 2 hours. It is now 9:46 and I've eaten dinner and now I'm doing chores around the house. And I have actually been outside where it is extremely humid, and for a little bit I was sweating, but everything still seems to be in place. It is definitely fading. Let's change the exposure real quick. So as you guys can see, I'm still pretty matte. I'm not super shiny. I am getting a little bit shiny in this area, just a little bit. I can feel it, like to the touch, that the oil is starting to come up because I do have very oily skin, but it's not bad. But it's only been 2 hours, so you know, if it's coming out now, it's gonna come out later. But I do notice that the redness around my nose is starting to peek out again, and I am starting to see my freckles. And this is for both sides, both the Revlon Colorstay and the CoverGirl Whipped. So really, they're both actually fading equally, and they're both starting to get shiny equally. And honestly, I don't see any difference between the two sides. Again, like I said, even though I am wearing a completely different shade on one side versus the other, they're still looking really good. Regardless, it still looks good. Okay, so it's been just under 4 hours. It is now 11:29. When I had completed my makeup, it was 7:39. Okay, so I've changed the exposure, and as you guys can see, I'm still really, really shiny. Because if my exposure is set wrong, I'm gonna look shiny no matter what. But if I set the exposure directly onto my face, it'll typically show me very, very matte. But in this case, it shows me shiny because my face is in fact oily. I did get some more shininess from the 2 hour mark to now. So I definitely have oil like right here, a little bit up here, but mostly in this area. This is usually where I get it, and on my nose. So it does not do that great for oil control, but honestly, I've never found a foundation that has been able to control my oil. The De-Slick spray from Urban Decay does not control my oil. It's going to happen in my case because my skin is just that oily, but considering everything else, the redness is about the same as it was at the 2 hour mark, so not much has changed there. You can still definitely see my blush, which is a good sign because typically as your foundation fades, your blush will fade, and your blush is usually a very good indicator. But I don't know if you can tell the difference. My blush is definitely stronger on my Revlon side, and it's a little bit lighter on my CoverGirl side. So the CoverGirl is not lasting as long as the Revlon side, but they still look really good. If I blotted, it probably would make a huge difference. So I'm going to go ahead and blot really quick and come right back. Okay, now that I've blotted, I'm definitely less oily. I have not changed the exposure since before I blotted, and you can definitely tell that the foundation still looks pretty good. You know, the shininess is gone, but the coverage is still there. I definitely can see a difference in the blush, so that really shows me the wear pattern, and so Revlon still, I think, holds out a little bit longer. So really, as far as oil control, I think it's kind of a wash, just because I'm very, very oily and I've never found a foundation that doesn't get oily. But as far as staying power, the Revlon is definitely better. As far as the blendability, they both blend really nicely, and surprisingly, even with the two shades, they blended together really nice. If you guys noticed, I did blend down the center to make sure I didn't have harsh lines. As far as the actual textures of the product, the Revlon feels a little bit thicker, so I felt like I had to go back into the product more often, and I felt like that the product didn't go as far. While with the Covergirl Whipped Cream, as soon as I dipped it in, it spread really nicely. But even though it spread a little bit easier than the Revlon, I did have to do 2 coats. So ultimately, I think I used about the same amount of product out of both. The only difference is I could do it all in 1 coat with the Revlon, and with the Covergirl I had to do it twice. And as far as like the actual like whipped cream texture, the thing about this is this almost felt like an actual whipped product. Like, have you ever stuck your fingers in frosting and it's really thick? That's what this reminds me of. This reminds me of frosting, but if you've ever had like fluffy hand whipped cream and it's really like fluffy, like that's what this feels like. This feels really fluffy, like very pillowy, while this one feels more like a creamy frosting. But other than that, I really, really like the Covergirl. I'm definitely going to keep it and hold on to them. And the one thing I like is this actually came in a color that matches me. This is technically a little bit too dark for me right now. And like I mentioned before, the shades on this is really hard because there's a lot of gaps for some of the shades that are available for this. The only downside I would say about this is this product only comes with 0.6 fluid ounces, while this one comes with 0.8 fluid ounces. This packaging is definitely much heavier because it's got the excess amount of glass. This one's definitely smaller in size, so this one's easier to travel, but you definitely get a little bit more product from the Revlon than you do the Covergirl. But other than that, I think the Revlon overall is still the better foundation. But if you don't want the bulky Revlon or you can't find it in your color, this is definitely a great alternative. I will tell you though, it does not last as long as the Revlon, so you may have to touch up at the end of the day. But for the 4 hours that I've had it on, it's actually doing really well. But it's definitely not an 8 to 12 hour foundation, but I still will use it for daily use and daily purposes. But if I need something a little bit more coverage and I need something more long wearing, then I will definitely go with my Revlon. Okay, so that is it. I hope this review and comparison was useful for you guys. If you want to see more videos like this, please let me know down below and make sure to thumbs up. That way I know you guys enjoyed the video. And of course, comment on what you guys thought of these products if you've tried them or if you want me to look at something else. And of course, make sure to subscribe for future videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Erica from Brains to Beauty. Hey guys, so long story short, it's 9 o'clock. My empty gas light is on. And it's Monday! Yesterday, I was supposed to edit, we were supposed to change out the furniture, we were supposed to do a lot of things. Instead, I swept, I did the whitening lightning, and I was gonna mop. I went to go take a quick like 30-minute nap.